Well, this is JC, and this is take three of chapter 17 of my book called Todd. You notice I'm wearing my cowboy hat today. I need to look a little bit different once in a while. I was gonna I was gonna go out and trim the hedge this morning, but the wind was blowing so hard I knew it'd have it all over the road. So I thought, I'll wait till this afternoon. Maybe the wind died down. Came on back in here and I said, hey, what the hey? I'm just gonna go ahead and sit down and see what happens. So even though I wrote chapter 16 only yesterday, I went ahead and did chapter 17 this morning. So without further ado and much more rambling, um, this is JC uh, with chapter 17 of the book I call Todd. Todd moved back to his side of the seat and he ran his comb through his hair. Wow, he said, I need to be more careful of what I say to you in public, I guess. You're a very excitable little girl. That man and his little girl got an eyeful for sure. Well, said Les, they probably think we're just a couple of teenagers getting an early start. And they both laughed at the literality of that comment. They both were teenagers and they were getting a very early start. They got themselves straightened out finally and got out of the car and went to the hardware store door. Todd opened it and held it for Les. She walked in and Todd followed. As soon as they were in, Todd recognized the man at the counter as the same man they saw with the little girl a few minutes earlier. Sorry about the little show we put on in our car, said Todd. We were kind of celebrating something. I hope you and your daughter weren't offended. The man said no, they were not offended. People can see just about anything nowadays. Todd extended his hand and introduced himself. I'm Todd Daniels, and this is Leslie Foley, he said. We drove over from Belton this morning. The man shook Todd's hand, but was quiet for a few seconds. He acknowledged Leslie with a nod of his head. He had a very odd look on his face. Todd was uncertain as to why the man didn't speak right up, but he waited for the man to reply. The man shook Todd's hand. You're Bobby Daniels' boy, he said. Todd said, yes, I am. Did you know my dad? Yes, I did, he said. I'm Richard Prater. Folks call me Junior because Mom named me after my dad. You can call me Junior. Your dad always did. There was another moment of silence. Leslie had said nothing and was listening intently. The man Junior looked at Leslie and said, Bobby never mentioned you. You must have met Todd after Bobby died. It was a statement rather than a question. Les felt her face flush slightly and she said, Todd and I met the day Mr. Daniels went to heaven. I never met Mr. Daniels, but I wish I had. Junior realized he was still holding Todd's hand and he released it. I'm real sorry to hear about Bobby, he said. I'm sorry I didn't come to his funeral, but I couldn't afford to close the store. I know he would understand. He understood a lot of things. Both Todd and Les were wondering what this strange man was about. Why was acting so funny, kind of sad and anxious? Junior spoke up then. Wait here, I'll be right back. And he left the room and went into a back room, obviously the office. In a minute he came back and handed a piece of paper to Todd. Todd looked at it and saw it was a check made out to him for $3,000. Todd looked at it for a moment. In the remarks line it read, Bobby, thanks for everything, Junior. Todd, seldom at a loss for words, now stammered, what's this for? I'm afraid I don't understand. Junior asked, do you have a few minutes? Yes, we do, said Todd. Leslie added, one reason we came here was to meet you. Junior walked to the front door and turned over a sign to show on the outside that read, Gone, be back in a few. Would you folks like some coffee? He asked. I have a story to tell you about how I met Bobby. We'd love some coffee, said Les. Todd nodded his agreement and smiled at Les. He liked that she was speaking up for them. Catherine, Junior called, is the coffee ready? Yes, Daddy, a young-sounding voice answered. A girl appeared at the office door. She was smiling a knowing smile at Leslie. I saw you in the car, she said. Now, Kathy, never mind, said Junior. She's a very curious kid, said Junior. Just the kind we're used to, said Leslie. There's nothing wrong with that, she said with a smile at Kathy. They all went into a rather small office then, and Junior brought a new lawn chair in from the store. I knew your daddy, Kathy said to Todd. He was nice, and he helped us a lot, and we didn't even ask him to. That's nice, responded Todd. They each poured a cup of steaming hot coffee and added sweetener and creamer, as they preferred. They sat in silence for a moment, each sipping on the coffee. Folgers, eh? Said Todd to Kathy with a smile. Yep, responded Kathy. Only the best for my dad and me. And our guests, of course. Would you folks mind if I asked a friend to come over? Junior said. He was a friend of your dad's, of Bobby's. Oh, go ahead. We're in no hurry, answered Todd. Les nodded her agreement. Junior picked up the phone and dialed a number. In a second, he spoke into the phone, and they all listened to his end of the conversation. Larry, this is Junior. Are you open yet? Can you come over here to my store? It's important. No, get one of the guys to take over for a while. This is important. Larry, Bobby's kid is here. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. He'll be right over, he said to Todd. He's only a block away. They sat in silence for a moment. It was really hard for Leslie to be quiet. She had a million questions. Todd looked at her and winked. She frowned and thought, you're doing it again. Todd grinned at her. Now Junior spoke up. Do you play poker? He asked Todd. Then looking at Les, he added, either of you? Todd admitted he had never played poker. He said he tried it once for about 10 minutes, but after that, no one wanted to play him anymore. Junior said, counted the cards? Yeah, Todd said, at least that's what they accused me of. He smiled a big smile and added, actually, they were just really bad poker players. Your dad used to come over here a couple of times a month and play poker with a bunch of us. It was just penny ante, but we enjoyed it. Bobby never won. One time he threw away the winning hand, and I accused him of losing on purpose. They heard the door open, and a tall, very skinny man came in. He looked around the store, then walked on back to the office. He came in and saw Todd first. My God, he said as he extended his hand to Todd, you must be Bobby's boy. You've really grown in this last year. He explained, I'm Larry Dalton, a friend of Bobby's. I saw you at the park one day a year or so ago when I was there seeing Bobby. We met at the cafe, but Bobby took me to the park so I could see you. He knew you'd be there. It's the only time I ever saw you. He added, I'm really sorry to hear about Bobby. Sorry I didn't come to the funeral, but I didn't know if it'd be appropriate since I didn't know anyone else there. He let go of Todd's hand and looked at Leslie. Todd said, this is Leslie Foley, my girlfriend and business partner. Leslie took his hand in a handshake. His grip was very firm. Okay, Junior, what's next? Asked Larry. Is anyone else coming? Have you told the kid anything yet? No, not yet, said Junior. I wanted you to be here. Todd and Leslie, he said, I want to tell you about Bobby Daniels and how I met him and how we became friends. Frankly, I wouldn't be here in this store if I hadn't met your dad. He was a great guy. Everything he said goes for me too, said Larry, and we're not the only ones. Then looking to Junior, Larry said, go ahead, Junior. This is the end of chapter 17, and this is JC saying I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down the road if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.